Today in the how-to video series, we're going to be covering ZenWorks Service Desk dynamic forms, the creation, variables, placement, linking them to requests, and the use of them. So I'm in as a supervisor. I'm going to go into dynamic forms. And in this case, we're going to make a change control. Right now, we can go in and create a change control incident, but it doesn't have the dynamic form I'm looking for. We can go in and we can create a new request that's a change request. But let's go ahead and add a change control request to give it a little more context. So in this case, we're going to go and create new change control. And we'll do DF for dynamic form just so we can follow through. This is the change control request form. Okay. We're then going to select change request. Now you can also link it with quick calls, but we're also linking it with change request. So it could be directly in the change request, or if you're opening up a quick call, it'll open up a change request with this form. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start at the top. And at the top, I mean, we're going to first say what we're going to do. We're going to do it selected boxes. All right. Now, this is the easiest part of it, is just throwing in what you're looking for. So let's say application. We want to put a label on it. So let's go ahead and put what type of change control is being requested. Okay. You can see on the right the preview how it lines up. We're gonna do the options for it to be on the top, or you can do it on the left. You can see how it changes depending on where you want it. I like it on the right. Okay, we're going to add another field, and we're going to say database. And another change control item could be infrastructure. Another one might be operations. Another one might be security. Okay, and so now we have our list. If we were to hit save here, this is our list for the change control dynamic form. There isn't much dynamics to it because we haven't put any variables in. But if we were to select application and database, maybe we have an application with a database that we want to do a change control for. Well, let's dig a little bit deeper. Okay. Now we're going to go to the type of application. So let's do another selected box. Or actually, let's do a radio button. And let's say type of application. Enterprise, add department, and we'll add another one, a user or other. Okay, if we go ahead and hit save here, now this is our total form. This is a view of our form. Let's hit save, and we can see this would be our form. But we want to link only if application is selected that this will show up. So let's go ahead and edit, and let's go back into the application list. Let's go conditional, and we're going to select that if it's true, what type of change control is being requested is selected, and it is application, and hit save. Now you may say, where did I get application from? I got application from here. If we open up this particular one, you can see this is the value I'm going to put in there. Notice it's all lowercase. And if you have dashes or numbers in there, pay attention to this side because this is the value you want to do in your conditions. Okay. So now if we were to save this, we can see that the list is gone until I hit application. All right. Next step, we're going to go ahead and edit this. And we're going to go to do a little bit more details because We want to, if there's text fields, the placeholder will show up. We don't need it right now. The other thing is we can do an inline layout. Notice it's inline to make it a smaller form. Or if you're turning it off for now, you can do disable. Okay. So you can see how that's modified. Okay. Next, we're going to go and create another one with checkboxes. And maybe it's just not select boxes, but select, because we're going to do database type. And we're going to say preview. You can see there's nothing in the preview yet. We're going to now go to data, and we'll do MSSQL, add another MySQL, put all the databases that we happen to have in our systems. We have MSSQL, we can do Oracle. Say we have these databases in there. Okay. So we can then select from a list. That's what this one is for. All right. So we also want to make sure that only when database is selected, so if true that what type of change is being selected, and we put database in here, we can hit save. Now by saving this, we can then hit application. There's our types of applications. Our database, we can now have our drop down for our databases. Let's go to infrastructure next. So let's go ahead and do selected boxes. And you can see we can put it in between different areas. And we're going to go type of infrastructure. And we're going to, again, have it on the left. Okay. I think that's where I want it. Let's take a look. We're going to do local switch. Oh, no, we want to switch it to the other side. So we're going to do router. Let's go switch first. Router. Core router. And add another for other. Okay. We're going to do an inline layout. We're also going to make the boxes consistent with the other boxes and put them on the left, or the right. The label on the right. Okay, so these kind of match. Now the one thing I didn't do is put in our conditions. So now we can go to the conditions. True. What type of change control? Infrastructure. And hit save. All right, let's go ahead and hit save. You can now see when we do the infrastructure, we have these options. When we go to database, we can then select our database. And then when we go to applications, we can see our applications. Okay. Now the other thing is, now that we've done that, we have a couple of others in here. So we're going to want a text box to show up when, let's say, other is selected, right? So let's go ahead and do a text area. Okay. And we're going to say infrastructure information. You may want infrastructure information on this. You can select the amount of rows. You put in the placeholder. Describe infrastructure changes. Okay. And it's going to look like this. So we'll go ahead and hit save. But of course, again, I forgot to put in my variables. So we're going to again go to true. type infrastructure. Hit save. Now let's take a look at that. We'll hit save, and we can see if we select infrastructure. Oh, that didn't work. Let's look why. Edit. Infrastructure information. Conditional. Oh, because I put a capital I. Let's be lowercase. Everything's lowercase on the variables. Let's go ahead and save. Infrastructure, and you can see we have infrastructure down here. All right. Next step, Irene is the infrastructure operations manager, so we're going to actually put in an email on the very bottom. Notify Irene, infrastructure manager. And we're going to put in Irene at digitalair.com and just put it in there anyhow. Now they can always change it if they want to, but we're gonna have it in there. We're gonna move this down below infrastructure, just so that, because she wants to be notified on everything, and as long as there's context in here, it'll email her. Okay, it'll email to that particular email address. Now when we hit, did we do our variables? Let's look again. And we didn't, so let's do true. Type infrastructure. Save. Okay, let's hit save. Now we have three things on infrastructure. We can do our selection. It's going to email Irene. We're going to get infrastructure information. The other thing we want to do is we have others that have other, right? Like application. So let's go ahead and we're going to duplicate this by hitting this copy. So we'll hit copy, and the button appears next to it. We're going to do paste below. And we're going to make this the application other, right? Information describe the application. Just make a couple modifications as well as here. We'll hit save. Now one thing we didn't change on here is let's hit save, is the positioning. So infrastructure is fine, right? Let me get a little bit smaller for you so we could see it build. And we go application, and you notice application is way down here. So let's go ahead and edit, and we'll just move it on up. Okay? Put it right underneath application like that. And now it should appear in proper order. Let's hit save. Now if we hit application, we could see both of them show up. Now if we wanted to expand on these, we can have it select. So let's do that. So let's say we have an enterprise application called payroll. So we're going to now say, we're going to do a select boxes. Let's say, what is it going to be affecting in the applications, in the other applications? So we're going to go in here. We're going to say payroll. We're going to go company directory. Notice I have a space there, but notice everything's lowercase until it gets to the second word, and then it does a capital. Okay. And then we can put other. All right. So that gives us a little bit of an idea. We're also going to make it an inline layout. Okay. And then we're going to make it conditional, and it's again true, but it's not on what type of change, but the type of application, if I remember correctly. So we're going to go here, and we're going to do enterprise and hit save. So when enterprise is selected, it should appear. So let's go hit save. And if we hit application, we see the two boxes. If I hit enterprise, it adds in the payroll, company directory, or other. And I didn't put a label in it. We can make the label and so forth. Okay, so right now it's going to go to quick call and change request. Let's see what it does. Currently we have a quick call, or do we? Let's create a new quick call for change request. Change request. And it's going to be a change. And it'll ask us the workflow. It'll ask us the status of it. We're going to say it's going to be pending or on hold, whatever we want to choose from the workflow. And it's assigned to Infotech 1. And what is impact and urgency? Okay. Right now we have to put in an estimated time. We're going to put 2:40, and we're going to say change control. Oops. Change control request. And then I can put in, this is for change controls with 4. And we can put applications, operations, database, or what do we do, security, or infrastructure. Okay, we'll hit save. Now we haven't applied the dynamic form yet, but let's go ahead and look at our change control. If we go in here and we go to change control or change request, because it is a dynamic form. Okay, if we select application, we can see things happening. Okay, Sean, let's see. And if we wanted to select a category for network infrastructure, and we don't have any items for network infrastructure. But if we wanted to say application, enterprise, or company directory, and need to have for the application. Okay. Now, one, we didn't select a dynamic form on the first one. You don't have to select it. Okay. But we decided to. Notice we could just send it off this way. But if we wanted to add extra information to it, we could then go change control and add those particulars. And maybe we do fuss with the database and we'll have to select that. But we can do these things. And the database is, let's say, MSSQL. Right? We could say what it is, moderate, create request. If we go to that request, we can then see that we didn't select any item number, and we might want to have an item in there. Maybe it's for a particular application. We can make an item, but you can see our checklists are in here for additional details. You can see it's going to Infotech 1, so they can manage it. You can also see that it has a particular manager approval with this particular workflow. It is pending as we set in the workflow. Now let's go ahead and link it to that form. Yes, we can create change requests without, in quick calls, without having the dynamic form, but we're going to force it. So we have the change request that we created. Notice there's no dynamic form. We're going to link the one we just created to that. Okay. And this is starting of the request. You can put things in here so it kind of helps him out. Starts the request. Done. Then we go back over to change requests again. We still have the dynamic form here that we could select, but if we were to go to quick call, we can go to the change request quick call, and it has everything put in it. So you'll notice it automatically puts in the change control. You can then go ahead and fill this out as needed, and so forth. Complete it, and go ahead and say this one's high and create. I didn't put a username in there, so we'll do that. We'll hit create. Okay, there's 511, right? Then we could go to a particular service desk item to be able to select it. We're going to log in as that Infotech one now. And we're going to see in his requests, he has change requests 50 and 51, 510 and 511, I'm sorry. And so if we go to 510, we can see here it is. We can then say, oh yes, we have approval needed or aborted, canceled. We can then add other things in here if we wanted to. It wasn't a database and application issue. We actually needed to upgrade the core router so it could transfer, those types of things. And we could go ahead and hit put in the comments and the notes. We hit save, and we can add a note as normal, not application or database, updated router. And go ahead and hit add note. Now you can also change this to maybe it was a particular router that's in there. I don't know if I have any routers in here. Let's look and see. It would be in here. No, I don't have any routers. So you could select something that might be a router, for instance, and add it to the ticket if you wanted to. Okay, and so this one has the same thing, 511. It's assigned to me. I can escalate or do whatever I need to do. So back to quick calls. If I look at my home, I don't have any quick call options. I actually have to be a supervisor to create those. So we're going to log back in as Sean. And once we get there, we'll go to quick calls. Dynamic forms. And we can see we have a bunch of them in here. And so let's just look at a couple different ways you can do this. For instance, this is a motor pool. You need to schedule maintenance. Well, what kind of maintenance? Monthly, quarterly, biannually? This is your checkoff list for things to check for that maintenance if you wanted to. Is there a component failure? Is there a checked tire? Is a tire flat? You know, which tires are they? So you can do a full checklist using these dynamic forms. Another one might be, HVAC. So here's a checklist. We have refrigerant low. So this gives you analysis of what you had to do. So you can look back on the records the last time you serviced this. If the refrigerant was low, you can talk about that in the call and actually research it if you wanted to. Filter, was a filter replaced? Yes or no? Error logs and so forth you can attach. So that's another way. Now this one is for service requests and change requests only, but also in a quick call. And so when you select either service request or change request, that quick call will be available to use this form. So let's see if there's another one. I have an onboarding. So in this particular case, we have onboarding and I have checklists for different things for onboarding. And that allows us to make sure that they've gone through orientation so that their accounts are created and so forth. So we have a bunch of dynamic forms for that also. Another one might be a printer issue. Let's look at this one. Laser printer. Maybe we only have 3 certain types of printers, and so we're going to give them a selection, but they may be unsure, right? Maybe it's a paper jam. It'll ask us which tray, all right? Or if there's toner streaks, or too bright, too dark, maybe there's a power issue or a fuser they need to take care of. Now, I don't have some of these with additional information on them, but I do for error codes. So we can common error codes here, right? So you can actually have things in here that help the technician when he goes out to better understand the situation before he even arrives on site. If we look at one more, maybe our printer supplies. Is it a laser printer? You need cartridges? You can actually specify, oh, I know which cartridge that is. It's this particular cartridge if you pick this printer. All right, if you're unsure, it's obviously not going to show you. Okay, but you can give them an option. Is it black, cyan, magenta, or yellow? How many number of toner cartridges do you need? Do you need paper also? While we're at it, let's order a ream or get a ream out here. Or maybe a box, right? How many boxes? What size paper? And any additional information. So by creating these dynamic forms, they're dynamically ask you extra questions depending on what your selection is, and being able to get the right information into the text hand for quick resolution. And that's how you create dynamic forms.